The galaxy erupted in cheers when alien fleets tore through humanity's front lines. Human ships burned like falling stars, their explosions painting the black of space with fire. Across dozens of systems, alien warlords raised their banners high, declaring Earth broken, its fleets destroyed, its colonies silenced. On the screens of alien command ships, human vessels shattered into drifting wreckage. Communications from Earth's forward command centers went dark one after another. No distress calls, no signals, nothing but silence. To the galaxy, silence meant death. Alien rulers celebrated in their great halls, their voices echoing through the stars. The humans are finished, they mocked. They thought themselves strong, but they were fragile. Weak. Now their story ends. Across the void, laughter spread as if the destruction of an entire species was no more than a spectacle for entertainment. But deep beneath the ash of ruined cities, hidden far below the eyes of scanners and the sweep of orbital patrols, the story of humanity was not over. In the underground caverns of old bunkers, dim lights flickered to life. Generators hummed softly, feeding power into rooms filled with survivors. They were not many, just scattered groups of soldiers, engineers, and civilians who had escaped the destruction. Dust covered their faces, and the weight of loss hung heavy in their eyes, but their voices did not speak of surrender. Instead, they whispered to one another in low, steady tones, voices carrying an edge of steel. "The aliens think it's over," one soldier muttered as he checked the old rifle stacked against the wall. "They don't know what we're hiding." In another bunker, hidden below the ruins of a collapsed city, a woman named Captain Alara stood over a cracked holotable. The image flickered, broken, but still showed parts of the world above. Entire districts glowed with radiation from orbital strikes. Bridges lay broken, and rivers boiled under the heat of alien bombardment. Yet in her eyes, there was no despair, only calculation. Around her, a handful of survivors waited for her words. "The fleets are gone," she admitted quietly. "But fleets are not everything. Humans are not finished. We fight differently now. We fight from the shadows." Her voice carried through the dim bunker, steady and unshaken. Heads lifted. A new kind of resolve filled the air. Above ground, alien soldiers marched through the ruins of Earth cities. They raised their banners, planted their flags, and broadcasted messages across conquered zones. Humanity is no more. The war is won. But in the dark corners, behind shattered buildings, human eyes watched. Survivors mapped alien patrols, studied their movements, marked their weak points. Every destroyed city had tunnels, saws, basements, places aliens never searched. And in those places, humans prepared. They built makeshift weapons from broken metal. They scavenged energy cells from wrecked vehicles. They rewired old drones to become silent killers. Each day, the aliens believed themselves victorious. Each night, survivors whispered and planned. Far away, in the cold ruins of a mountain base, strange energy readings flickered across battered consoles. An engineer named Kellen leaned over the controls, his eyes wide. The machines were old, scarred by bombing, but they still functioned. The readings pulsed like a heartbeat, steady, powerful, alive. This isn't natural," Kellen whispered. Other survivors gathered around him. The display showed a strange signal rising from deep within Earth itself, far below the crust, deeper than any alien scan had reached. "What is it?" a soldier asked sharply. Kellen shook his head. "Not sure. But it means something survived. Something hidden. Something powerful." His words filled the bunker with a silence more dangerous than fear. In the weeks that followed, aliens tightened their grip on Earth. They hunted the survivors they called rats, sweeping through tunnels, setting traps, burning shelters. But each hunt cost them lives. A patrol would vanish into a collapsed subway and never return. Supply convoys were ambushed in the night, their vehicles stripped for parts before reinforcements arrived. At first, the aliens dismissed it as chance. Later, they began to whisper among themselves. "The humans are supposed to be broken," some muttered. "Why do they keep striking back?" Commanders ordered stricter control, harsher punishment, but the attacks only grew sharper, more precise. In the Grand Council chambers of the Alien Alliance, reports arrived with growing urgency. Commanders boasted of victory, yet their words were filled with caution. Entire squads had disappeared without a trace. Weapons caches were missing. Surveillance drones failed to return. On the edge of their reports, an unsettling phrase repeated, strange energy readings detected in human territories. The Council dismissed it at first, waving away the warnings. But the more they ignored it, the louder the whispers grew. Back on Earth, in a bunker buried beneath the scorched plains of Asia, Captain Alara gathered her fighters. Around her, old monitors glowed faintly with Kellen's data. The energy pulse had grown stronger, clearer. It was not a weapon, not in the way the aliens thought, but it was something humans had been building, hiding, waiting to reveal. She placed her hand on the table and looked at each survivor in turn. The fleets are gone. The cities are ash. They think humanity is finished. But they don't understand us. They don't understand what it means to fight with nothing left to lose. Her voice cut through the gloom like a blade. We will show them. Above the bunker, alien ships patrolled the skies, their banners flying high in the smoke. Across the galaxy, alien races still cheered, celebrating their triumph. But below the ground, in the silence of the ruins, a different sound grew stronger, the steady hum of strange energy, pulsing like a heartbeat, waiting to be unleashed. The survivors whispered their vow, words carried in every dark corner of the world, they don't know what we're hiding. And in that vow, the true war began. The galaxy still laughed. Alien news networks broadcast endless images of Earth's ruins, showing burning cities, shattered fleets, and broken colonies. Humanity is no more, they declared with certainty. In alien taverns, soldiers bragged of their victories. Warlords drank to their conquest. Even the cautious species who once feared humans now dared to speak loudly, the human threat is gone. Yet, in the silence between their cheers, reports continued to surface. Patrols missing. Convoys destroyed. Strange energy spikes deep within Earth's crust. Alien commanders dismissed these signs as minor problems, but the whispers kept spreading. Whispers that made the Council uneasy. Beneath the ruins of a collapsed city, Captain Alara and her survivors worked in silence. The strange energy pulses Kellen discovered had grown stronger each day. The machines hummed with life, carrying signals humans had hidden long before the war began. It's real, Kellen said one night, his voice tight with awe. Whatever it is, it was buried deep for a reason. And now, it's waking up. Around him, tired faces leaned closer. Soldiers, engineers, even children, all listened to his words. Ilara's eyes narrowed. If the aliens don't know what it is, then that's our advantage. We keep them blind. We keep them afraid. In another bunker halfway across the world, a small band of fighters prepared for a strike. They had little, old rifles, a handful of explosives, scraps of food. But they had something more dangerous than weapons, purpose. Their leader, Sergeant Dane, traced the path of an alien convoy on a cracked map. They think they own these streets, he whispered. But tonight, we remind them who they're hunting. As darkness fell, his fighters moved through old tunnels, crawling beneath rubble and ruins until they emerged behind enemy lines. From above, alien ships hovered, their lights sweeping the ruins. But the humans were shadows, slipping unseen. When the convoy rumbled into the city square, its armored carriers glowed with alien banners. Soldiers marched with arrogance, laughing, shouting in their guttural tongue. They didn't notice the silence of the ruins. They didn't sense the eyes watching from the broken buildings. And when the first explosion erupted beneath their lead vehicle, they didn't have time to react. Fire swallowed the machine. Human fighters leapt from the shadows, striking fast and vanishing before the aliens could regroup. The convoy was destroyed in minutes. By the time reinforcements arrived, nothing was left but wreckage and the echo of human laughter in the dark. News of the ambush spread quickly. Aliens called it an accident, then a small resistance, then an anomaly. But when more convoys vanished, when outposts went silent, their confidence began to crack. This should not be possible, alien officers muttered in council chambers. The humans have no fleets, no armies. And yet, their words trailed off in fear. The council demanded answers. Scans were ordered across Earth. More troops were sent. But every new patrol became another target. The humans did not fight like before. They did not line up in fleets. They struck like ghosts. Back underground, Captain Alara studied Kellen's readings again. The energy pulse had grown stronger, its rhythm steady, like a living heartbeat beneath Earth. Kellen's hands shook as he explained. It's not just power. It's a network. Something old, something waiting. I think it's human technology, but from before the war. Maybe even before the fleets fell. His voice dropped lower. It could change everything. Elara placed her hand on the table, her voice calm and cold. Then it's time we make the aliens fear the dark again. For weeks, the survivors worked. They linked old machines with scavenged alien tech. They dug deeper into the Earth, following the pulse. And the deeper they went, the stranger things became. Caverns lined with forgotten steel. Machines asleep for centuries. Strange markings humans had never seen. It was as if Earth itself had been preparing for this moment. When the survivors activated one of the buried machines, its lights burned with power no alien sensor could detect. The pulse grew louder, shaking the walls. And in that sound, the survivors felt something ancient and dangerous awakening. Above, the aliens noticed the change. Their scanners registered unexplained spikes of energy. Their commanders barked orders, terrified of what they could not understand. Troops were deployed to search deeper, but every time they descended, they never returned. Patrol ships scanned the crust, but the signals slipped through, hidden as if the planet itself shielded them. The council argued furiously, fear creeping into their voices. We destroyed their fleets. We crushed their armies. And still, they rise. What is hidden on that cursed world? In the bunkers, whispers grew stronger. Survivors across Earth spoke the same vow, they don't know what we're hiding. And then, one night, the survivors revealed their first true weapon. A reawakened drone, ancient but deadly, rose from beneath the ruins of a city. Its engines roared with the strange energy pulse. Alien ships scrambled to intercept, but the drone cut through them like fire through paper. It was not large, but it was fast, and it struck with precision. The aliens chased it across the skies, but when it returned to the underground, it carried with it proof. Proof that the hidden power beneath Earth was real and unstoppable. The aliens panicked. Reports filled the council chambers. The humans have weapons we did not know about. Weapons older than our war. If they unlock them all, fear silenced the rest of the message. For the first time since the war began, the galaxy no longer laughed. They whispered instead. Whispered of a nightmare that refused to die. And deep beneath the crust of Earth, the strange pulse grew louder. The galaxy no longer laughed. Where once they mocked humanity, now they whispered in fear. Alien commanders argued in secret, their voices low but sharp. It was only one drone, some said. A relic, nothing more. Yet their words betrayed doubt. They had seen the recordings, the strange machine tearing through warships with impossible speed. That was not the weapon of a defeated people. That was something else. Something older. On Earth, Captain Elara stood before the glowing chamber where the drone had been born. Its walls pulsed with strange symbols, etched in metal so ancient no human language could read it. Kellen ran his hands over the markings, his face pale with awe. This wasn't built for us, he whispered. This was built long before us. But it responds to us. His voice shook as he spoke. It's like Earth itself was waiting. Waiting for us to need it. The survivors gathered in silence, the hum of the machines filling the bunker. Children pressed close to their mothers. Soldiers stood ready, though their weapons were old and worn. Elara spoke calmly. The aliens think we're finished. They think the war is won. That belief is our greatest weapon. As long as they don't know what we have, we control the fear. Her eyes narrowed. But make no mistake, fear alone won't save us. We will use these machines. And when we strike, they will remember why humans were feared. Across the stars, alien fleets massed above Earth. No longer careless, no longer arrogant, they orbited with nervous precision. Scans swept the planet day and night, searching for the energy signatures they could not explain. In council chambers, their leaders debated. Send more troops. Blockade the skies. Crush what remains. But beneath their arguments lay the same unspoken truth, they did not know what humanity had awakened. And what they did not know terrified them. Deep underground, Kellen worked without rest. The pulse was spreading, reaching into caverns even he had never mapped. "There are more machines," he whispered as he traced the signals. "Dozens. Maybe hundreds. Buried across the world." His hands trembled as he looked at Alara. "If we wake them all," he didn't finish. He didn't need to. Everyone in the room felt the same thought. If humanity woke them all, they would no longer be prey. But power came with danger. The first drone had nearly torn their bunker apart when it activated. The pulse grew stronger every time a new machine stirred. Caverns shook. Walls cracked. And worse, alien sensors were beginning to notice. Already, patrols had landed closer to their hidden strongholds. Already, survivors had been forced to fight harder to protect their secrets. One night, the aliens came too close. A squad of armored soldiers, guided by scanners, stumbled upon a hidden entrance. Alara gave the order without hesitation. The ambush was brutal, swift, and silent. Humans struck from the shadows, blades and bullets finding weak points in alien armor. When it was over, the ground was wet with alien blood. Not one soldier lived to report what they had found. But Alara's face was grim. "Next time," she said quietly, "we won't be so lucky. We need to move faster." Meanwhile, alien fleets above Earth grew restless. Ships vanished into the black, destroyed without warning. Convoys burned in the void, wreckage drifting silent. No human fleet had been seen, no human army had returned. And yet, the losses mounted. Alien soldiers muttered to each other in fear. They spoke of ghosts, of shadows, of humans who refused to die. Some swore they heard laughter in the static of their comms. Others swore they saw figures moving in ruins where no one lived. The galaxy that once cheered now shivered in unease. Kellen finally unlocked another chamber, deeper than the first. The survivors entered with torches, their breath misting in the cold. What they found made every heart stop. A massive structure, like a sleeping beast, lay buried beneath the stone. Its surface gleamed with the same ancient symbols, its size dwarfing anything they had ever seen. Alara's voice was steady, though her eyes burned with fire. "If the drone was a knife, this is a sword." 4 days, they worked to awaken it. The pulse grew deafening, shaking the earth itself. Children cried in the dark as walls trembled. But when the giant machine's eyes finally lit, the cavern glowed with impossible light. It rose slowly, like a titan from the grave, its engines thrumming with ancient power. The survivors stared in silence, their fear mixing with awe. They had no word for what it was, except one, hope. Above, alien scanners screamed with warnings. Energy spikes flooded their readings. Panic erupted in their fleets. "They've awakened something," officers shouted. "Something massive." Commanders barked orders, scrambling to strike before it was too late. Fleets descended into Earth's atmosphere, weapons charged. Alara stood before the awakening giant, her voice calm and sharp. "They wanted us broken. They wanted us forgotten. Instead, we will remind them. This is not the end of humanity. This is the beginning of their nightmare." And when the Titan's engines roared to life, the skies above Earth lit with fire. The alien fleet burned through Earth's sky, a storm of fire and steel. Their ships descended in formation, blotting out the stars. Civilians hiding deep underground felt the rumble above their heads, the walls shivering with every blast. Children clutched their parents, whispering, "Is this the end?" But Alara's eyes never left the giant that stood waiting in the cavern. The Titan loomed like a mountain of metal, its glowing eyes locked on the heavens. The first strikes came like thunder. Beams of energy ripped into the ground, tearing craters where cities had once stood. Alien commanders barked orders, demanding the destruction of the strange energy source their scanners detected. "No human force can resist us," they said, their voices laced with nerves. "Wipe out the anomaly." Yet even as their weapons fired, something stirred. The Titan lifted its head. The survivors braced themselves as the cavern shook, dust and stone raining from the ceiling. Kellen's hands flew over the controls, sweat dripping down his face. "It's responding," he shouted. "But it's not just defending. It's angry." His voice broke with both awe and fear. The machine was not cold or lifeless. It felt alive. And it was awakening with purpose. The alien fleet unleashed its fury. Entire squadrons dove toward the surface, weapons ready to carve the planet apart. But then, the Titan rose. The earth cracked as it pulled itself free of the stone, its engines howling like a storm. Survivors stared, their mouths open as the machine climbed higher and higher, breaking through the surface in a storm of fire and debris. For the first time since the war began, humanity did not cower beneath alien might. They looked up at a weapon greater than anything the galaxy had ever seen, and it was theirs. The alien ships fired again, beams tearing into the Titan's armor. But instead of falling, the machine raised its arm. Shields of shimmering light flared to life, bending the energy into nothingness. Then, with a sound that shook the sky, the Titan struck back. A single blast tore through the heavens, slicing an enemy cruiser in half. The wreckage burned across the atmosphere, raining fire over the world. The aliens who once laughed at human weakness stared in silence. They had never seen such power. On the ground, survivors cheered. For the first time in years, hope surged like fire through their veins. Elara's voice cut through the noise. This is just the beginning. The galaxy thought we were prey. Let them see the hunters we've become. But hope came with fear. The Titan fought like a god, yet each strike sent tremors through the earth. Ancient systems groaned under the weight of power not meant to be unleashed so quickly. Kellen's face turned pale as warnings lit the control panels. It's burning itself out, he whispered. If we push too far, we may lose it. In orbit, alien commanders screamed in panic. Retreat. Regroup. But the battlefield was already chaos. Dozens of ships fell in flames, torn apart by the Titan's weapons. Pilots fled in terror, their voices breaking over comms. It's not human. It's something else. The galaxy watched through secret transmissions, their celebrations of victory turning to horrified silence. Humanity, the species they had mocked and dismissed, was striking back with power that should not exist. The Titan's engines roared as it leapt into the sky, chasing the retreating fleet. Survivors gasped as they saw it ascend higher and higher, glowing like a star against the black void. Elara's voice was calm but hard as steel. They thought we were broken. Now they will learn we are unbroken. Now they will learn we are endless. But victory was not complete. The alien fleet shattered, yes, but not destroyed. Many ships fled into deep space, carrying with them the story of what they had seen. Across the galaxy, whispers began to spread. Some called the Titan a weapon of the ancients. Others claimed Earth had hidden gods beneath its soil. But the most terrifying rumor of all was simple: humans have not fallen. Humans are rising. In the bunker, Kellen slumped against the wall, exhausted. The Titan is strong, but it won't last forever. We can't rely on just one. His eyes burned with determination. We have to wake the others. Elara nodded slowly, her gaze fixed on the dark sky above. Then let's wake them. One by one, until the galaxy remembers what it means to fight a human war. And so, while alien leaders scrambled in fear and fleets retreated into the dark, deep below the ruins of Earth, humanity prepared for something greater. The Titan was only the first. The war was no longer a battle for survival. It was the beginning of vengeance. The galaxy shook with fear. From the highest councils to the darkest war rooms, alien leaders replayed the footage again and again. A single Titan had risen from Earth's ashes and destroyed a fleet that once seemed unstoppable. It was not rumor. It was not illusion. Every sensor, every broadcast, every surviving pilot's terrified voice confirmed the truth. Humanity had unleashed something ancient, something powerful, something no species could match. At first, the galaxy denied it. It is a trick, some claimed. A final desperate weapon. It will not happen again. But deep in their eyes, fear spread like fire. Because they all knew, humans had always been strange. Humans had always been different. And if one Titan could do this, how many more were sleeping beneath the ruins of Earth? Meanwhile, in the hidden bunker beneath the broken world, Elara stood with her people. The cavern trembled, dust falling with every distant explosion. The Titan they had awakened still glowed faintly in the distance, half buried after its return from battle. It had won, but it had nearly torn itself apart in the fight. Kellen's hands moved over broken screens, his voice heavy with exhaustion. The systems are fragile. That Titan cannot fight again soon. But I've scanned further, there are others. More Titans. Buried deep under mountains, frozen under oceans, hidden in the hollow bones of Earth. He looked up, his eyes burning with determination. We must wake them. All of them. A silence fell. The survivors, tired and starving, stared at him. Waking one Titan had nearly destroyed their bunker. The power needed was more than their machines could provide. And each awakening risked collapse, risked failure, risked death. But Alara's voice cut through the fear. The galaxy thinks we are finished. Let us show them they are wrong. If it costs us everything, then so be it. Far above, the aliens regrouped. Broken fleets limped into orbit around a distant moon, commanders screaming at one another. We underestimated them. That machine was no accident. Find out how many they have. Find it now. Spies raced to gather intelligence. Armies prepared to launch another assault. But in every plan, in every strategy, the same whisper rose. What if there were not one, but many? What if Earth was not the graveyard they thought, but the forge of war? Back in the depths of Earth, the survivors moved with quiet urgency. They split into teams, guided by fragments of maps and coded signals left behind by the ancient builders of the Titans. Alara led one group into the mountains, crawling through tunnels of ice and stone where no alien scans could reach. Kellen stayed in the central bunker, hands locked on failing systems, whispering to the machines as if they were alive. Days passed in silence, broken only by the distant hum of alien patrols above. The survivors crept like shadows, carrying what little food they had, driven only by the fire of vengeance. And then, at last, they found it. Buried under a glacier, frozen in time, a second Titan slept. This one was different, its armor dark as midnight, its frame sharper, built not for defense but for the hunt. Strange symbols glowed faintly on its surface, symbols no one could read. Alara placed her hand on the frozen hull, and for a moment, she felt it stir, like a heart waiting to beat again. But awakening it would not be easy. The power required was greater than before, enough to burn out their last generators. Kellen's voice crackled over the comms, heavy with warning. If we try this, the bunker may not survive. And if it fails, we lose everything. Alara's reply was steady, her voice carrying the weight of all their dead. Then let us not fail. As preparations began, the alien fleet moved again. Scouts reported the survivors' movements, and commanders saw the truth, they were searching for more Titans. Panic gripped the alien high command. Destroy the planet, one shouted. Burn the surface until nothing remains. But others hesitated. If they destroyed Earth, they might also destroy the secrets they desperately wanted. And in their hesitation, humanity gained precious time. In the frozen caverns, the survivors worked without rest. Cables hissed, engines screamed, lights flickered as power surged through the machines. The ground shook, ice cracking as the second Titan stirred. Slowly, painfully, its eyes lit like burning stars. But then, the alien fleet arrived. The sky turned red as their warships descended again, weapons primed to finish what they had begun. Survivors ran for cover, voices breaking with fear. Kellen shouted into the comms, "Alara, we're out of time." The cavern walls split open as beams of fire tore into the earth. The glacier collapsed, ice crashing like thunder. Alien soldiers poured through the cracks, armored beasts of war, their weapons glowing. For a heartbeat, it seemed the survivors would be crushed before the Titan could rise. And then, the ground itself screamed. The second Titan broke free of the ice, its dark armor glowing with fury. With a roar like a storm, it swung its blade arm, slicing through alien troops as if they were nothing. Its engines howled as it stood tall, casting shadows over the battlefield. Above, alien ships fired down in desperation. But the new Titan moved faster than the first, vanishing in blurs of light, striking with savage precision. Cruisers shattered. Fighters burned. The sky became a graveyard. Alara stood among the ruins, her face lit by the Titan's glow. They thought one was enough to fear. Let them see too. Let them imagine what waits when all are awake. And across the galaxy, in palaces and war councils, alien rulers felt their blood run cold. Because they knew now, it was not the end of humanity. It was the beginning of something far worse. The galaxy held its breath. Reports poured in from every edge of space. 2 Titans now walked the battlefield. Entire fleets were shattered. Whole armies scattered like dust. The news spread faster than light itself, whispered in every marketplace, screamed in every war room. The question burned on every alien tongue: how many more are there? No one knew. And that was what terrified them most. In the ruins of Earth, the survivors gathered once more. The caverns stank of smoke, broken machines, and blood, but hope glowed in their tired eyes. They had done the impossible. They had woken not 1 Titan, but 2. And for the first time since the war began, the survivors looked at the sky not with despair, but with hunger. Ilara stood on the cracked platform, staring at the holographic maps Kellen had pulled from failing servers. Red dots filled the sky, alien fleets regrouping for a final strike. But beneath the maps lay something greater. Blue markers pulsed faintly, scattered across the world. Buried beneath oceans, mountains, and deserts, the ancient Titans slept in silence. Kellen's voice was hoarse from sleepless nights. There are dozens more. Maybe hundreds. Not all will wake. Not all will fight. But even a handful could turn the galaxy upside down. He paused, his eyes heavy. We cannot do this alone. We will need every survivor left on this world. Every last one. A murmur swept through the survivors. The cost was clear. To awaken the Titans meant burning their last supplies, risking collapse, risking death. But no one turned away. They had already lost everything. What was left but to fight? The aliens moved quickly. Their war council demanded Earth's destruction. Commanders barked orders, fleets armed with planet killers gathered at the edge of the solar system. But fear gnawed at them. Every delay, every hesitation came from the same thought: if they struck too late, if more Titans awoke, the galaxy itself might fall. Back on Earth, the awakening began. Generators screamed, ice melted, mountains split, oceans boiled as the survivors poured what little power they had into the sleeping giants. One by one, Titans stirred. A colossus rose from the sea, water cascading from its shoulders like waterfalls. Another clawed its way out of desert sands, sunlight blazing off golden armor. Deep in the mountains, a Titan with wings of steel tore free, shaking snow from its back like dust. The ground shook. The sky cracked. And humanity's army of shadows returned to life. Alien fleets screamed into orbit, ready to burn the planet. Thousands of ships descended, blotting out the stars. For a heartbeat, Earth seemed small, fragile, broken. And then, the Titans looked up. Their eyes glowed like suns. Their weapons hummed with power older than the galaxy's empires. With a single step, the Titans leapt into the heavens. The battle was unlike anything ever seen. Titans moved through space like gods, tearing ships apart with blades of light, fists of fire, wings of thunder. Alien fleets broke against them like waves against stone. Cruisers shattered. Carriers burned. War worlds cracked and fell. The sky became a graveyard of broken metal. Inside the chaos, Ilara's voice echoed through comms. Do not stop. Do not fall back. This is our world. This is our time. Kellen, watching from the control chamber, whispered to himself, we were never finished. We were only sleeping. But the war did not stop at Earth. Survivors who had escaped to hidden colonies heard the call. When they saw the Titans, they rose again. Hidden human fleets powered up long-buried warships. Signals crossed the stars. And for the first time since the invasion, the galaxy realized humanity was not only alive, they were striking back. In alien capitals, rulers trembled. Armies once so proud now whispered in fear. Soldiers who had mocked Earth begged not to be sent to fight the Titans. Entire worlds that had celebrated humanity's death now prayed the Titans would not come for them next. The tide had turned. In the ruins of Earth, Ilara stood at the edge of the bunker, staring at the Titans soaring into the sky. They were not just machines. They were symbols. Proof that humanity could not be erased. Proof that even in ashes, humans rose stronger than before. And deep in her heart, she knew the truth. The war was not over. The galaxy would rally, rebuild, and try again. But now, every species would think twice before raising a hand against Earth. Because the humans were no longer seen as broken survivors. They were seen as the bringers of titans, the keepers of monsters that walked like gods. Kellen's voice came softly beside her. We were supposed to be extinct. Elara's eyes stayed on the stars, where titans danced among the wreckage of alien fleets. Her voice was steady, cold, certain. No, she said. We were only waiting. And across the galaxy, from the richest rulers to the poorest workers, one truth spread like fire: humanity had not fallen. Humanity had only begun.